everybody, Christian here with 779 Off Grid. I just thought I would do a video here on my foundation. We're going to be pouring today after many delays and many tribulations, and so I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing here and why I decided to do it and if I do it again. All right, so here is my foundation forms. Concrete is not poured yet. It's coming here in about 2 hours. And so I'm just going over all the final preparations. So the foundation that I chose for this house that I'm building was based on a couple of factors. Number one, the first basis was I was so close to the ravine. I didn't want to do any excavation near the ravine, and because the building pocket is so narrow, it would have had to, I was worried about the bank being damaged and maybe some sloughing happening. So I went with a screw pile foundation. I'm going to put a clip here in the corner of what that looks like when they're installing it. Basically, it's a pipe that has a helix on the bottom, and they use a machine. In this case, they use an excavator to screw it into the ground, and there's a special device on there that determines the torque value as it's being put into the ground, and if it could hold the load that the engineer specified for that specific area of the foundation. And so if you look inside here, you'll see there's what you call a pile cap. It's that black thing down there. And it's sitting on, if you look right here, a pile. That pile in particular was driven down into the ground, I think 50 feet or something before it could hit a torque value. And there's multiple along the foundation, and there are some in very specific locations for a specific type of load, and some of them are in along, like for example this wall, there's just multiple along this wall to hold the grade beam, which in turn will hold the house. Pros of doing it this way, well, the pros are, like I said, I didn't have to do any excavation really, just maybe a foot or two, and just to get a level site, and also you don't need really heavy equipment in here to do all the digging, excavating and things like that. The cons are you don't know what you don't know. So once you start installing them, you may only need to go down 10 feet, or you may need to go down 70 feet, which one of my piles did actually go down that deep. And so in that case, you just have to keep on going, and there's additional costs associated with it. The contractor that I use to do this, Post Tech, which is like a franchise here in Edmonton, very good to work with, and I would recommend him for sure if anybody were to ask. So yeah, those are the pros and cons. I mean, I think after I seen it installed, I'm going to say that I was very happy with how it's going to do its job, just that it was more expensive than I expected. So and then once those piles were installed, like I said, they put an 8-inch by 8-inch by half-inch pile cap, and that's what the concrete grade beam sits on top of. And so the next step in the process was to basically put this, what's called a void form, VOID form, at the bottom. You can see it there. It's 4 inches, and that was specified by the engineer, and it's sitting on a gravel base. We used that for leveling, and we also used these sleepers. A sleeper is just, in this case, is just a piece of wood that sits underneath the void form to hold it while you're pouring concrete in. It just increases the stability, because that void form is just styrofoam. That's a cross section of it. And basically, from what I understand, that void form is designed to absorb any ground movement from the heating, like from the freeze-thaw cycles. So there's that. And then on top of that, I used an ICF foundation. The engineer specified a insulation be put over the exterior of the grade beam. And so in this case, instead of applying that insulation afterwards, I decided to go with this insulated concrete form, since I'm not an expert. Well, I'm not an expert at any of this, but I could at least put this down in a way that was easier. It has holders for the rebar. So you'll see here it has these red holders for the rebar. So I didn't have to do that. If I would have built the form from nothing, then I would have had to make all those holders. I wasn't really familiar with that. So I decided to go with ICF forms. So yeah, once the void form was all installed and leveled, I put 2 rows of insulated concrete forms. They're 12 inches high, so it's a 24-inch grade beam. It's 8 inches wide. And then I started loading this up with rebar. And following the engineer specifications, I got a piece of rebar, 2 pieces of rebar at the top, 2 at the bottom, and then we have stirrups holding it all together. So once you pour that concrete in there, that rebar basically is turning into a beam, and that strengthens the concrete. Concrete alone wouldn't be strong enough, so that's why they put that rebar in there. So I've got a pumper truck coming and a cement truck, and like I said, in a couple of hours, and we're going to pour this. I'll take some videos of that. Now once that's done, then the fun should begin. I'll be able to start building walls and setting things up. So trying to think if there's anything else that would be relevant to this. Oh, I could show you the footprint just so you have an idea of what we're doing here. If we look in the front here, this is going to be our greenhouse. So that opening in the foundation is going to be where a door goes. And then this part of the wall is going to be not all windows, but a lot of windows. And it measures 8 feet wide, or 8 feet deep, by 32 feet long. And then if you look behind that, that's going to be the garage on the left side. So I think it's about 24 feet. And on the right side, on this side, there's going to be the utility room, a bathroom, and a bedroom. And then on top of that, obviously, on the second level will be the house, similar or same footprint. All right, well, I'll stop here. I'll put in some clips of the concrete being delivered and installed. So the pumper truck has arrived, and I'm just using that long hose to put concrete into the forms, and it's actually going a lot quicker than I thought. You have to pay attention non-stop. And here's a little bit of a close-up of what I was doing. This is the second time around. The first time around we only put in about 12 inches, so to the first form, and this is filling it right up. I've never done it before, but the guy that was running the pumper, he does this all day long. He says overfill it a little bit, and then when you vibrate it, you will it'll sink down into the form, and so it's better to have a little bit more. And this is a friend of mine running the vibrator. When you're using it, you don't want to touch the forms, and you don't want to over vibrate it because it'll separate the concrete too much. Well, here is the finished product. It's been drying for a couple days now, and so it's Saturday. So tomorrow we'll strip the braces off. We'll take the little pieces that we have the L bolts mounted into off, and get it ready for framing. I checked it last night with a laser level, and I'm within plus or minus a laser line, so pretty good for my first foundation.